Let's go straight to Kyiv now, where DW's Rebecca Ritters is standing by. Rebecca, Ursula von der Leyen says, as we just heard, the European Union will respond to Ukraine's membership status request by next week. So does Ukraine join sooner now? What does that mean?
Well, the short answer to that, Nick, is no. There is no legal framework for a fast-tracking of a accession to the EU. But von der Leyen saying that the process will be completed by next week of the Commission's recommendations. Now, that Commission recommendation is likely to be positive and was perhaps slightly fast-tracked, if you will, given the light of the situation here with the war. But definitely the accession process, as it were, cannot be fast-tracked. Von der Leyen has to give her recommendation, or the Commission's recommendation, and then that has to go to the 27 member states, who all need to unanimously agree, and therefore triggering the long process to accession.
So let's say they do get a good assessment, all the member states agree. Can you walk us through this accession process? What does it mean to join the EU? How long does it take, for example?
Well, it's lengthy and complicated, as most things with the EU tend to be, very bureaucratic. But this isn't just about bureaucracy. This is about making sure that any state that joins the EU is signed up to the liberal democratic values. You know, there needs to be rule of law, there needs to be a functioning economy, there needs to be anti-corruption measures and a functioning judiciary, these things. So the process, if they are to be successful and they are allowed candidate status, the process can still take, on average, up to 10 years, sometimes longer. If you look at the case of Turkey, Turkey became a candidate in 1999, so it's like, you know, an incredibly long process, and their negotiations have stalled. So there is absolutely no guarantee, even if they make candidate status, that they will then therefore be brought into the EU. But this is the first step for sure.
And, you know, Rebecca, we're not in Ursula von der Leyen's head, but presumably she could have sent an email or called Zelensky and told him this news. Why do you think she came to Kyiv in person to make this announcement?
Well, it's symbolic, of course. This is her second trip to Ukraine since the war began. She wants to come and show that the EU does support Ukraine, that Zelensky, you know, has a friend in the EU. You know, as well, it's going to help with her assessment process. You know, having these long discussions with Zelensky, she's going to be able to write up these assessments better as well. But key also in this visit, of course, was discussions about how the EU, or what the EU can do to help Ukraine redevelop after the war, or even before the war's over, but, you know, help with the process of development since this war began. So a symbolic gesture from the EU, but certainly an important one, and I think one that she really wanted to make, did not want to send that email.
Okay. Rebecca Ritters, thanks so much for that insight, reporting from Kyiv for us.